It's Kevin here with the weekly WOD series from CrossFit Prescott Valley. Please remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone. CrossFit Prescott Valley, the new year is upon us, and we just want to hear from you. So we have some surveys here in the gym, and what would you like to see in the new year is the question that we're posing. And there's a couple different options that we'd like to offer, and we're just asking that if the CrossFit Prescott Valley members could just pick your top 2 choices. What would you like to see in addition to what we already do here, so that when we expand, we're expanding to the needs that you guys want and need, okay? So please fill those out within this next week as we go. And then don't forget, this Friday, we have our CrossFit Prescott Valley Christmas party. It's December 9th. That Christmas party will be at 6 p.m. So remember, we have the White Elephant Exchange, so please bring something goofy, funny, and we'll do that. All right, guys, see you then. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about muscle ups. Muscle up, whether it's on the rings or on the bar, the whole purpose is to be able to pull yourself from underneath the object to on top of it. Today we're going to specifically address ring muscle ups and go through some progressions to help you get towards getting your first strict ring muscle up. As a prerequisite for a muscle up, we think it's a good idea that you have a good base of at least, I would say, 7 to 10 strict pull-ups and 7 to 10 strict ring dips, because those are the measures of strength that are needed with the addition of this super awkward, goofy transition piece in between those two. So hopefully with this, you can have some things that you can take away, you can try out on the gym, and see where you get. Okay guys, so strict muscle up progressions. One of the places we really like to start is a low ring, so your feet can be comfortably on the floor. First thing we're going to talk is grip on the ring. So with a false grip is what we want to use for the ring muscle up. And what I like to think about is taking right here where the wrist bends and basically kind of karate chopping that ring, okay? The ring should set pretty uncomfortably on the wrist. And like I like to tell everyone, if it feels uncomfortable, then it's probably you're in the right position. So wrist on the rings, and go ahead and wrap your thumb and fingers right around those rings nice and tight. So once you get your false grip established, the next piece is getting down to the floor. I really like to think about keeping those knuckles together because as we transition from the floor back up through the rings, it's really important to keep. So I think starting with that position is really good. So knuckles are going to go together, and as I sit back, I'm going to turn the rings in towards my body. And then from there, what I like to do is just have a seat, okay? And at this point, with the bent arms, that's fine. You don't have to do this yet. Basically, we just want to get that false grip established, having a good seat on the floor. So the next piece is, now that you're on the floor, we've got some extension in the arms, we're still in our false grip. We're gonna start working on the pull, okay? Now, we're gonna use our feet pretty heavily here today, so what I'm gonna do to start is I'm gonna bend my knees, all right, and I'm gonna put my feet flat on the ground, knuckles are together. Now I'm gonna initiate the pull phase by pulling the rings right to the sternum and using my feet to give me some assistance. Once we reach this position, we wanna see how the knuckles are together, the rings are really high near the sternum. From this position, we're going to work transition. As I sit up through the rings and transition through, I'm going to transition through the rings super low so the rings are on top of the biceps. And this piece is the transition of the muscle up. So the next phase is, once transition happens, if you haven't spent a lot of time on rings, what I like to do is have a coach spot on this. But the next piece is what I like to call jump to support. So instead of just trying to do a strict dip out of this, okay, first thing I want to do is just to establish some security on the rings. So we'll just jump and hold those rings to support right by the side. So that's your basic first progression. With the feet on the floor, you get a lot of assistance from the feet, so you can really work on getting through the transition without having the strict pull and that transition piece be too overbearing. So you can make that a little more complicated as you feel comfortable with that, doing this multiple different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and show some examples of 2 more ways that you can do this. Each would be progressively more difficult. So with transition 2, with that 1 foot up, it gives you just a little bit more opportunity to experience what the pull would feel like as you transition through. And then as you get comfortable with that, you can try that without using a whole lot of feet at all, as you saw in transition 3. With today's progressions, it's the intention to give a little takeaway for a lot of different people at a lot of different abilities. So we're going to take this to a little bit of a higher ring today. And one of the things that I've experienced in myself as an athlete and watching others is getting a really good understanding of how to keep those rings nice and tight and what it means when you're suspended in air on the transition and being able to get back. A lot of people have a lot of great pulling strength and pressing strength, but it's that strength that we have when we're holding the rings at the sternum, and we're going to take a look at how to do that with static positions to develop some strength in the transition piece. So what I'm going to do for this progression is I'm going to go ahead and establish my false grip, and then I'm going to pull the rings, knuckles together, to the sternum. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hold a static position with rings at the sternum. Now, in order for this to be successful, I really want to point the toes, squeeze the quads, and I want to try to find a hollow body position as best I can. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use those rings, keeping them really tight, following the breastplate nipple line into the ribs. Okay, hold that static position. Then I'm going to come back to this position and then drive all the way through and finish out my muscle up. So this is a cool way to develop strength, okay, here versus out and here. All right, guys, so that is a very difficult progression, but for those of you that have already established a strict ring muscle up, I really think holding those static positions really helps you understand, like gymnastics movements is all about hitting your positions, your body positions through space. And why not take those positions with pause, develop some strength and capacity in each position as you're working on those movements. So if you have strict ring muscle ups, this is a great tool to make those maybe a little bit more effective. Maybe you can get a couple more strict muscle ups in a row just by working the transition piece and getting strength there. So for today, a little recap, some progressions if you don't have a ring muscle up yet, all the way up to if you do, some skill work that you can work on there. Okay, guys? So I look forward to you guys trying this. We're going to actually try them out this week as part of our normal day. So we'll have some muscle up skill work that you guys can look forward to. But that's just an example of what we're going to be showing you so that when we get to class, you already have a heads up on it. Enjoy those ring muscle up progressions, and let's see where we get. And if you got some pull-ups and dips, let's see if we don't get our first ring muscle up this week. So we're going to go ahead and do our WOD reveal. And we've got a good one here. We're going to do a workout that's essentially 3 rounds, but I'm just going to write it down as basically a chipper. And it's going to go 20 of a certain movement. Then we're going to do 8 of a certain movement, and then 10. And we're going to continue that pattern for 3 rounds. Now, what's cool about this workout is that the 8, whatever lift that is going to increase in loading as you progress through the workout. So the 10 is going to be a box jump. And we're going to make that at 30 and 24 this week. So we can get that idea. All right, 20 is going to be toes to bar. So we've got a high volume of toes to bar each round, which is going to be a challenge in itself. And then once we get that core nice and fired up, we're going to do 8 overhead squats. So we're going to increase loading of the overhead squat each round. So we're going to start the overhead squat at 115.75. Next round, we're going to increase that loading to 135.95. And then in the last round, we're going to perform those at 155, 115. So that's the workout you guys have to look forward to this week. Again, super core heavy, developing that midline stability and strength, mixed with some box jumps. It's going to be a fun one, increasing loading. It's challenging. And guys, we're in the open prep cycle, so a lot of our workouts are going to look pretty similar to the things you might see traditional CrossFit, posing certain challenges, high volume repetitions of gymnastics movements. Anyways, it's going to be fun. Remember, everything is scalable and adaptable and changeable to everybody's needs and abilities, so there's no reason we can't all get in here and have a great time. Look forward to seeing everyone this week. Have a great rest of your weekend.